morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 18th of June, 2025, and as always, yours truly, Dave Von Kleist and the WTF Reports are holding the media's feet to the fire. They twist, they massage, they lie, and guess what? All right, welcome to the hump day. Don't you ever crump day. Oh, man. It keeps going and going, isn't it? It's like a never-ending soap opera. Every day something else is happening that make you, your eyebrows go up and your hairline and go, WTF, OMG. Oh, my goodness. It's crazy. Anyway, as we get started on this Wednesday edition of the WTF Reports, as always, I respectfully and humbly request that you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Do business with our advertisers, because this program is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. That's right, Tesla said frequency is everything, and Royal Raymond Rife was able to work with frequencies and find that you can use those frequencies to help your health. Yes, they can destroy pathogens, and they can make cells flourish, depending upon if it's a kidney cell, eye cell, skin cell, blood cell, whatever. Everything has a frequency, and that's what the Wave Watch is all about. Check it out, folks. Go to the WTFreports.com and click on the sponsors page. Check out the Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. Okay, getting started. Okay, we all know now that it's the proverbial fecal matter is hitting the fan all over the place on many, many, many different fronts. But before I get started, I want to let you know that I happened to, somebody posted on Facebook and said, hey, Dave, somebody's profiting on your documentaries. I said, oh, really? Yeah, well, I don't know. For those of you regular listeners out there, and you know a bit of my history, it was over 20 years ago, I produced 9/11 in plain sight. And it was all about the attacks on September 11th. And many of you may recall, I was on the air as that happened. And it's sort of a long story, but I ended up with a ton, 65, 75 videotapes that people sent to me, because as it was happening, I was telling the listeners, go run to your TV, put a videotape in and start taping any network that you can, because something horrible is going on in New York City. And that's what happened. People all over the country put tapes in because the show was a national show. Actually, it was international. We were on AM, FM, satellite, internet, shortwave, and XM. So we had a lot of coverage. But anyway, long story short, I ended up with all these videos that people sent to me, and I had all the video footage from all the networks and all of the local stations in and around New York City. WPIX, WOR, WNEW, WJAR in Providence. And I ended up making this documentary. Anyway, there's people out there selling it. It's not me. It's not me. No, I'm not about making all the money. That's one of the problems that I have. I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the ego. I'm not in it for the accolades or any of that stuff. I'm not comfortable with that. I really suck at self-promotion. But there are people out there selling it. It's out there on Amazon. Let me see, $59.99 they're asking for it. And I have no idea who's selling it. And there's people selling my music, too, on eBay. I don't know who they are, but I'm not in it for the money. It's out there for free. If you want to hear my music, just go to YouTube and type in my name. You can listen to all my music absolutely free. And the documentaries are out there for free if you go to my website, DaveVonKleist.com. You can see them both. I'm not about the money. That's the problem with too many people. They're in it for the money and the accolades. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you because I was really surprised. People are making a killing selling my stuff. Well, God bless you. Go ahead, get that. Just get the message out. That's the whole reason. All right. Something was sort of interesting brought to my attention yesterday. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said to me, "Hey, you remember all this Build Back Better?" I said, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Klaus Schwab and, all the world leaders, they were saying, we got to build back better. And even Biden said, build back better. Everybody, build back better, build back better, build back better. Okay, she says, why don't you, it's 3 B words. I said, yeah. She says, what if you use a small b and just put those B's together? I said, okay, so she says, write it down, small b. I saw B, B, and B. She says, what's it look like? Doesn't that look like 666? Yeah, it does. That's interesting. And she says, yeah, but what about the big, beautiful bill? Just something to think about. Just something to think about. It doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying anything. It's not a conspiracy. I just thought it was kind of interesting. That big, beautiful bill looks like a 666. Anyway, in other news, let's see, where do I start today? There's so many different things going on. Of course, we're all on the edge of our seats wondering what the heck is going to happen with Israel and Iran. It's sort of like we're not talking about Russia and Ukraine anymore. It's like all of a sudden, squirrel, everybody looks over here. Squirrel, oh, we're here. That's still going on. But anyway, I'm looking at this whole thing with this war with Iran. And why now? Why now? This, we know that Israel has been screaming about, having a greater Israel, which means they got to take over Syria and Yemen and Jordan and all the other countries in the Middle East, including Iraq and Iran, that they were saving Iran for last. Okay. So why now? I'm just curious. Why is it after all this time? Bibi Netanyahu's been screaming about this for well over 20 years. He's been talking about Iran enriching nuclear, having nuclear capability, enriching uranium. He's going to have a bomb. He's going to have a bomb. Well, let's back up. Just keep that and you let that percolate for a little while. I find it rather interesting that, as reported by the VTForeignPolicy.com website, and I've heard it from several other sources, but I happen to have that one pulled up here. And I read, it says, just days before the first strikes, Iranian state hackers pulled off one of the most devastating cyber ops in modern history, seizing a staggering 3 terabytes of top secret Israeli intelligence, not just military secrets, but compromat files detailing Israel's vast surveillance operations, including deep state cover programs inside the United States. 3 terabytes of information, and they have it, or supposedly they have it, and they were threatening to release it. Now, I have no doubt whatsoever, and hey, Dan Bongino, you may want to listen up to this one because you can't seem to figure out where all those Epstein files and videos went. Oh, they went to some Middle Eastern country. Can't figure out which one. Danny boy and Cash. What's going on? Well, guess what? It seems that there's a lot of information in those files that a lot of people here in the United States don't want out. And a lot of information that Israel doesn't want out either. So I find it really interesting that all of a sudden it's reported that 3 terabytes of top secret Israel intelligence is in their hands and they're about to release it. And then all of a sudden, they've got to come up, they got to throw missiles over there into Iran. And I do want to point out, yes, they were bragging about how precise the Israeli missile systems are, their guidance systems. They can launch a missile and send it 1,000 miles from Israel all the way into Iran and target their, and have their target. The missile goes right through the wall into the target's bedroom and blows him up. What precision. Isn't that admirable? Yeah, well, how come they didn't have that precision going on in Palestine? If they were going after Hamas, no, in Hamas, they had to bomb everything. They bombed the hospitals, the universities, the infrastructure. Everything gets bombed in Palestine. And that's not exactly precision, is it? Oh, but they can have precision when they want to launch a missile into Iran. So that doesn't seem to make sense. But anyway, I digress. The point is that if Iran has all this information and they were threatening to release it, and then all of a sudden Israel launches a missile in there to kick off this conflict that we've got going on. This thing with Iran has been going on for a long, long, long time. And we'll get back to that in a couple of seconds here. But let me see which one is. Well, I got a couple of audio clips I wanted to play. Let me see, where do I go from here? Let's see. So we've got Iran with all this information, and we've got Israel that doesn't want that information out, and a lot of people here in the United States don't want it out either. As a matter of fact, somebody sent me a link for a download, a file download, and I downloaded it. And what do you know? It's a whole bunch of lawsuits and military documents having to do with, yes, Jeffrey Epstein and all the Jane Does that have filed lawsuits. I don't know if this is the part of the dump that Iran was talking about, but I find it rather interesting. Like I said, Iran says they're going to release all this information. Israel launches a missile, and all of a sudden the United States is right behind Israel again. Very interesting. Well, first off, I'll tell you what. Before we go, I'm going to play an audio clip that was posted by an Irishman, and he's had it with Israel, as many people around the country have. I mean, around the world, I should say. Anyway, this is a little letter to Israel. Okay, here it is.
Listen up now for the very last time, and listen carefully. We don't hate you because you're Jewish, you ignorant, duplicitous, genocidal scumbags. Sure, amazing Jewish people are at the forefront of the pro-Palestine marches and movements all over the West. They're the very best of us. We hate you because you murder children with sniper fire. You allow babies to die and rot in their incubators. You burn people alive in their tents. You're attempting to starve a civilian population to death, and you will only allow a trickle of aid in to appease your low-life allies in Europe and America. That's why we hate you. And anti-Semitism? You're the most anti-Semitic people in the world. You label people who ask you to stop murdering children as anti-Semitic, as if murdering children was a core principle of Judaism.
No kidding.
You thick fucks. And your day is coming. Judgment Day is coming for you. Even your pathetic, spineless allies in the States and in the so-called UK and France and Canada, they see what way the wind is blowing. Even Piers Morgan, the rat's rat, is jumping ship. So I can't wait to see you all face justice.
Boy, that's them pretty strong words, wouldn't you say? And it's not just folks in Ireland. There are people, like I said, all over the world that have had it with Israel. They've had it up to their eyeballs. And again, he pointed out very clearly, if you criticize Israel because of their genocide, because of them killing innocent men, women, and children. And by the way, I have a very graphic video. I wanted to share it with some friends of mine, but it's just horrible. IDF soldiers bringing guys out that are blindfolded and they got their hands tied behind their backs. They bring them over to a pit that's filled with tires, and then they take a gun and blow their brains out so their body falls in there. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. Okay, so if that's what Judaism is, you know, I mean, you don't want to be known for that. No. And for anybody to criticize Israel for those type of activities and then label the people as anti-Semites, that's like, you know, is this a standard operating procedure for Judaism? I don't think so. So let's just make sure everybody understands that. Now, there was somebody else here that posted a very interesting analysis, and that I talked about this yesterday. Of course, we've heard now that the USS Nimitz, an aircraft carrier, has been dispatched from the South China Seas, and it's on its way to the Middle East. All right, now I want to remind you folks about the USS Liberty in 1967. It was a ship that was attacked by Israeli planes in an attempt to drag the United States into the war between the United States and between Israel and Egypt. Okay, and then we can also go back to the JFK assassination, and now it's all come out. Yes, the CIA was involved with that, and let's face it, folks. When did the CIA come into existence? It was in the late 40s. When did the State of Israel come into existence? It was in the late 40s. When did the Mossad come into existence? It was in the late 40s. Is there any connection between those three? I don't know. I'm just thinking. I know that's illegal. I know it's taboo. It's verboten to be thinking out there. No, you shouldn't be thinking. Don't do your own research. Yeah, we learned that during the pandemic. Yeah, don't do your own research. That's crazy. Anyway, this was posted by some gentleman in the Middle East, And again, I get a lot of these clips from social media because you can get some stuff from the mainstream media. But I mean, many people now, it's becoming common knowledge that people are getting their news from social media, from TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and X. I mean, there's a lot of stuff being posted out there. Just amazing. But anyway, here's a gentleman from the Middle East, and he's putting the puzzle pieces together as far as the USS Nimitz is concerned. Listen up.
I wish I'm wrong on this one, because this is really wild and dangerous. The USS Nimitz that's a USS aircraft carrier, has been deployed to the Middle East. But this line here says a lot more than this. The aircraft carrier is 50 years old and set to retire next year. So this is sent out to the international waters to be sank by Israel and be blamed on Iran, and giving the chance to the U.S. politician to go in a full-out war with Iran.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Now, he's speculating right there. He's not stating a fact. He's just thinking outside of the cage. I mean, he's basically thinking along the same lines that many of us are. You take the USS Nimitz, send it into the Middle East, and again, it's a 50-year-old aircraft carrier scheduled to be decommissioned next year. So what better way to put it to use than to send it into the Middle East and then, let's see, back of the hand to the forehead. Oh, no, it's been attacked and sunk by whom? Oh, it must have been Iran. Oh, then we have to go to war with Iran. Well, and in fact, maybe it's not going to be sunk by Iran. Maybe it would be sunk by somebody else. Who could it be? I don't know. Who would benefit? Let him finish.
With the justification that, they've sank our USS aircraft carrier. Because you don't normally send these expensive targets to the open waters knowing that your adversary has missiles that can easily target it and sink it in no time, unless you want this to happen. But it's not Iran that's going to sink it. You know whom is going to sink it.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
We're watching out for the false flags that's expected in the coming few days anyway. But this could be a distraction within the distraction, as the Zayus always do. Let me know if you have thought of this, or if you think of anything else, or where things are going from here. And try and make yourself ready for bad days to come.
Yeah, make yourself ready for bad days to come. And I'm inclined to agree with him. Because let's face it, there's something called the Samson option. And basically what that is, that's if Israel's very existence is threatened, they have plans to wipe out the entire world with their nuclear arsenal. Yes, they do. Yes, Seymour Hersh even wrote a book called The Samson Option many years ago, explaining exactly how that is. And by the way, in some of these documents that have been released, it actually mentions targets that Israel may have in that particular situation. And here in the United States, the targets are Los Angeles, New York City, Washington, D.C., and Cheyenne Mountain. Yep, it's in the documents. So, who's your greatest ally? You know, they say a lie told often enough becomes the truth. Israel is our greatest ally.
Israel is our greatest ally.
Israel's our greatest ally.
Israel's our greatest ally.
Our greatest ally. Our greatest ally. Our greatest ally. A lie told often enough becomes the truth. Anyway, now there's another reason why I think we may have an issue, because with all this Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and as I was just mentioning, these files that were hacked that supposedly Iran has and is threatening to release, well, there is a shall we say, a dead man switch. You know what a dead man switch is? You know, if somebody has some damning information and they have documents or what have you, and they are threatening to release them, so what they do is they either make copies of the documents or they make a video about it, and then if they get offed, if all of a sudden they are unalived, then that particular set of documents or that video gets released. Well, Virginia, how do I pronounce her last name? Giuffre, I can't remember how to pronounce it, but she was recently, in this past month or so, she was unalived. And she, unfortunately, was one of the Jeffrey Epstein victims. Well, there is a deadmansswitch video that was released just recently in this past week, and it's her. And some people are saying, well, it could be AI. Yeah, it could be. But I find it rather interesting that some of the things that she said were quite damning. And so if AI was going to be putting this out there, it would be obviously in defense or to carry on with the cover-up. But the information in this little deadmansswitch video doesn't fall into that category. So I'm going to let you listen to it yourself. This is, well, here, I'll just play it. You listen to it. Come to your own conclusions.
If you're watching this, it means they got me. My deadmansswitch activated automatically after I missed 2 scheduled check-ins. I had it set up months ago because I knew this day was coming. I did not die by accident. I was murdered to keep their secrets buried. My name is Virginia Giuffre. I was one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I survived Little St. James, but survival came at a price. I saw too much, knew too much. And now they've silenced me. But it's too late for them. They thought killing me would bury their secrets, but this video is going to a few organizations I trust, ones that have been exposing the truth for decades. You know who you are. It's your job to continue this fight. I was 16 when they reeled me in. I worked at Mar-a-Lago, folding towels, cleaning lockers. My father kept the tennis courts immaculate. We were just working folks trying to scrape by. Trump, he was around, but he was never the threat. The real predator was Ghislaine Maxwell, prim and proper, smiling, promising to teach me massage therapy at the Pink Mansion in Palm Beach. I had no idea I was being fed into a nightmare machine. Epstein's Island was hell disguised as paradise. You've heard some names linked to him, but those are just the sacrificial pawns. The real players, the ones they've protected at all costs, are still hiding in plain sight. I'll name 2 now. The first, a former U.S. President, Barack Obama. Publicly, he's revered. Privately, he was one of the worst. He wasn't there for the girls. He was there for the island boys. Young boys, trafficked and groomed. I saw him more times than I can count, always without his Secret Service detail, sometimes with his Hollywood friends, George Clooney and Tom Hanks. I still have nightmares about them, arrogant and drunk on power, slinking into the cabanas with kids barely out of childhood. The second, Bill Gates, the billionaire philanthropist, loved by the media, hailed as a savior. We called him the benefactor, and we used to dread seeing him naked. But he didn't come to party. He came to experiment. Genetic experiments, human experiments. I saw him inject a young girl with something they said was a genetic enhancement. She was younger than me, strapped to a table, terrified, treated like a lab rat while they muttered about seeding the future of the species. These men think they are gods, playing with life like it was theirs to own. I'm telling you now, Epstein isn't dead. They staged his death because he was too valuable. He held blackmail on some of the most powerful people on Earth. Files, videos, confessions. They couldn't risk him talking, but they also couldn't risk him gone, so they hid him. Stashed him under the protection of the same elite who once paid him to supply them with flesh. And they thought killing me would stop this from coming out. They were wrong, and there is so much more to come. Hidden servers, encrypted drives, witness testimonies. It's all going to hit the light. This video is just the first detonation. The data drops are timed and automatic. They are going to people who can make a difference, and nobody can stop it now. Not even the law enforcement agencies in the US and UK, the same ones that buried the evidence I handed them, can stop this truth from getting out. If you're watching this, you are the resistance. Don't let my death be just another headline. Burn their lies to the ground. Make the world see the monsters behind the masks. And to any survivors out there, don't give up. We're in this together. They can't kill us all. Make them pay.
Now, again, this could be AI. However, I find it really interesting that you just heard her that, that data drops would be coming. All right? Well, I find it rather curious that this morning I received a data drop. Yeah, a bunch of files. Just click here to download the files, and I did. And there's nearly 100 files in there. Many of them are lawsuits. Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, Jane Doe 3, blah, blah, blah. And you look at some of the names that are named in these lawsuits, and it's just amazing. And along with that, there are many documents. I haven't had time to go through all this stuff yet, but I'm going to start going through that. I also sent it to a friend of mine who is an absolute ferret when it comes to going through legal documents. So I'm going to be getting together and trying to sort some of this stuff out. And that's one of the reasons why I said, well, maybe there's something to this dead man switch that Virginia put out there. May she rest in peace. So that adds a little bit of credibility to what you just heard. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there, get your wheels turning, get you thinking outside of the cage. I'm going to take a quick break, and I got more when I come back. Stay with us. Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary. And you can get More Tank by once again visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and it'll take you right down to a little box. You can click on that. It'll take you to the Get More Tank website where you can read all the technical data and why it works. And it does work. I've been using it in my car for almost a year now, and like I've told you many times before, right off the bat, I put 2 tablets in for my first application, and within about a half a tank, I noticed when I hit my gas, my car goes. It, whoa, whoa. And so it's running better. It's running cleaner. And then from that point on, you use 1 tablet per tank. And after a couple of tanks of gas, you're going to notice between 15 and 20% better mileage on your vehicle, depending upon the make, model, and year. And you do the math. That means 1 purchase for $20, well, it's actually $22.22, but you get 10% off with the promo code REDPILL101. But it still costs you $20. You get 5 tablets. That's 5 tanks. And if you're getting 20% better mileage, that means your 5th tank is free. So you spend $20 and you get a free tank of gas. That's a no-brainer. It's a win-win situation, folks. It works. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and get More Tank. Okay, that said, back to the issues at hand. And by the way, if you want to call in, you're welcome to do so. 215-867-8255. Again, the call-in number here if you want to join me. Oh, I haven't even opened up. Don't call in yet. I forgot to open up the the phone line here. I got to do that. But anyway, I want to get back to this issue about Iraq and Israel. And Bibi Netanyahu has been screaming about Iran for years and years. I mean, going back to the late 90s. We're talking about almost 30 years now. And he's weeks away. He's a month away. He's a year away. He's weeks away. He's days away. And over and over and over and over. And I went through the list a couple days ago of all the different claims that Bibi Netanyahu has made through the years about Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon. Well, I'm not the only one. I don't know if you know, there's a woman, she calls herself Shipwreck. Bless her heart, she's all over the place. And if you're on social media, you'll probably recognize her voice. And she speaks rather quickly, but she speaks truth. Anyway, this is what she shared in regard to all of these claims by Bibi Netanyahu. Listen up. Oh, come on now, don't do that. I hate when that happens. Okay, there and there. Here we go.
In 1992, Iran was 3 to 5 years from nuclear capability.
92.
In 1993, Iran was pursuing
93.
nuclear weapons close to capacity. In 1995, Iran was 3 to 5 years
95.
from nuclear capacity. In 1996, Iran's nuclear acquisition could be catastrophic. In 2003, Iran's nuclear program is a global threat. In 2004, Iran aggressively pursuing nuclear weapons. In 2005, Iran's nuclear ambitions must be stopped. In 2006, Iran could have a nuclear bomb soon. In 2007, Iran is racing to develop nuclear weapons. In 2008, Iran's nuclear program was nearing completion. In 2009, Iran was 2 years from nuclear capabilities. In 2010, Iran could produce a bomb within a year. In 2011, Iran was steadily moving towards nuclear weapons. In 2012, months away from will complete enrichment by spring or summer, 6 to 12 months. In 2013, Iran was continuing nuclear weapons program. In 2021, Iran was closer than ever to nuclear weapons. In 2022, Iran was weeks away from nuclear breakout. In 2023, Iran was advancing nuclear enrichment. In 2024, Iran was dangerously close to a nuclear bomb. In 2025, Iran was days away from enriching uranium for a bomb. How very hole in the ozone layer of you. How very modern day ice age. How very climate catastrophe. Just thought maybe if you saw it in a timeline, it would help ease you out of your scared and propagandic state. We don't stop Russia from invading Ukraine. Guess who's going to be next? Wake up.
Wake up, she says. Yeah, well, you're right. You're absolutely right. And she's not the only one. No, she's not the only one that's gone through the timeline of all the claims that Bibi Netanyahu has made that Iran is going to have a nuclear weapon. And again, this goes all the way back to the 90s, 93, 95, 97, 98. And Shipwreck just went through all of them. And I went through all of them, what was it, yesterday or on Monday? But it's amazing. He keeps on saying, oh, yeah, they're going to have a bomb. 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 Okay, but this time for sure. You know, it's like, hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. You know, oh gosh. All right, well, let's listen to Jon Stewart. Bless his heart, he's even seeing it. Here's Jon Stewart, and just keep your hat on. He gets a little funky sometimes. Here he is.
But what happened with Iran? Weren't we about to make a nuclear deal? Wasn't our deal maker in chief making a deal to keep Iran from enriching uranium? Actually, didn't we have a deal before our deal maker in chief so wisely pulled us from that deal? Why did this have to go balmy on Iran now?
And by next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage.
Iran is months away from having a nuclear bomb, says Netanyahu, in 2012. Why did we have to bomb Iran now?
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
Holy shit, that's why. Iran's only weeks away from having an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs, says Netanyahu. In 2015. 2015. Think about that. Back when we all thought, oh no, the Republicans might nominate that madman Jeb Bush. Should have gone with the question mark. No, seriously, I'm not being facetious. I really want to know why we had to bomb Iran now.
We're going to show you Iran's secret nuclear files. Here's the warhead. Here's the bomb.
And that's from 2018. I don't know if Iran is any closer to having a bomb, but it is clear Israel now has the capacity to enrich their drawings. A hot war between Israel and Iran could threaten the United States. It's best we stay out of it.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying Israel took unilateral action against Iran and that the U.S. is not involved in strikes.
We're not involved. That's good. That's good.
The U.S. says it was informed beforehand.
Good neighbor policy. I mean, we were informed. They let us know. Still not being involved, really.
President Trump acknowledged yesterday that he was aware of the Israeli operation, and he gave it a green light.
It's still Israel's game.
Israel used American equipment during its initial strikes against Iran.
What the f*** are we doing? All right, so we knew, and we approved.
Yeah, we knew and we approved. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? All right, I did open up the phone lines this time, okay? While that was playing, I just got on there and opened up the lines. So if you want to join the conversation, I'd love to hear what you have to say. 215-867-8255. And as we wait for that, now I can't remember. My mind is mush sometimes. There is a social influencer. Her name is Kim Iverson. Iverson. And she had this to say as far as Israel is concerned. I can't remember if I played this already. It's worth listening to again. Here it is.
All right, let's look at MAGA versus MEGA, Make America Great Again versus Make Israel Great Again. Tucker Carlson got people pretty riled up. He says the real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians. The real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it. Who are the warmongers? Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Rupert Murdoch, Ike Perlmutter, and Miriam Adelson. So he dropped names. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's been a true America First MAGA supporter, and she says everyone is finding out who are the real America First MAGA and who were fake and just said it because it was popular. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of these right-wing, big names, they acted like they were all America First. We all knew, a lot of us knew they weren't really, and now they're being exposed. This is exactly what they've said to us over and over and over again. They're fighting a war for all of us. Really, when was the last time you felt threatened by Iran? The Ayatollah has been in power for 47 years. Did you ever feel threatened by Iran ever once? None of us have. We've seen Israel complain about them. Sounds like an Israel problem, not a United States problem. And they're saying it's Iran that's the existential threat. It sure looks like actually Israel is the existential threat to America, the sovereignty of America, and the will of the American people.
That's interesting. She makes some good points. When's the last time Iran attacked one of its neighbors? Okay, they just launched missiles into Israel. Well, Israel fired first, didn't they? Mm-hmm. And, Israel's been involved, or shall I say the Zionist Israeli regime that's wrapped itself in the flag that represents Judaism, so you cannot go after them, because if you do, you're an anti-Semite Jew hater. Okay, and that's another thing. Hey, Danny Bongino, you got to get that through your head too. He was out there screaming several months ago about how all these protesters out there, they want to kill all the Jews. They want to kill all the Jews. No, they're not protesting Jews. They're protesting the Zionist regime that is murdering innocent men, women, and children in Palestine. And that's not the first place that Israel has gone into. I mean, like I said, there's been Syria and Lebanon and Jordan, Yemen. I mean, Israel is just a warmongering state. And, it is their belief, it is their religious belief that they're going to rule the world. That's what they believe. They believe that they are God's chosen people. Now, how they can believe that, I don't know. If it says, that if anyone who hurts one of those little ones, it's better that they have a millstone tied around their neck and they're cast into the sea. My gosh, how can people that participate in that type of an activity actually believe that they're God's chosen people? But they do. They do. It's in the Talmud. If you have done any research whatsoever, you're reading some of the verses in the Talmud. I just don't understand how Christians can support that. Oh, I'm a Christian. I'm a good Christian Zionist, Wait, do you understand what that is? These folks do like zero research, zero reading. They just go along with what they hear. And it's scary. It is really scary. But anyway, I just, like I said, I've had to go through numerous times where I've had to go rethink my beliefs. And it's not easy, when you've got a core belief and you're pretty strong on that. And then you find some information that challenges that belief. Your first reaction is, no way. No, you're a hater. I don't believe you. You're giving me bad information, And then you start to doing a little research. I remember one of the first times it happened to me was way back when John Lennon was assassinated. Okay, and I remember there was a full-page ad in the New York Times with all the rock stars and Hollywood people had all signed onto this thing to get rid of the guns. Let's gather up all the guns, melt them down, get rid of them. We just lost a voice of peace. John Lennon was, give peace a chance and imagine and all that. And by the way, when he was assassinated, the radio stations in this country, and I don't know what happened around the rest of the world, but in this country, I don't know if you remember this. If you're old enough to remember, I remember, they didn't have a moment of silence or a minute of silence on the radio stations. They shut the radio stations down for 10 minutes in honor of John Lennon's unaliving, shall we say. And so the point is that, I was right on board with everybody that said, hey, let's get rid of all the guns, And then I saw a bumper sticker, and it said, those who beat their guns into plows will plow for those who didn't. And that made me think a little bit. And then I came across a book, and it said, Who Killed John Lennon? And it was all about the CIA MK Ultra program and how Mark David Chapman was a product of that program. And I was like, whoa. And I had to stop and think about it. Why would they take out John Lennon? Why would they do that? And then I thought a little bit more, and I know that it's illegal, it's shunned, and you shouldn't be doing that, and that thinking stuff. Don't do your own research. But I started, putting two and two together. When the Beatles came out, and I'm not, I'm dating myself, but I mean, the Beatles hit worldwide. When they did the song "All You Need Is Love," that was broadcast live all over the world. In China, it was all over the world. And even for folks who didn't speak the English language, they knew the words. They didn't know what the lyrics meant, but they knew all the songs. And no religious or political leader at that point in history had ever had the ear of that many people on this planet. And that scared the living bejesus out of them. So I could understand why they felt threatened by John Lennon and his message of peace. Because the military-industrial complex and the warmongers and the world leaders, they don't want peace. They don't want peace because there's no need for them to exist anymore, they have to have problems. They have to have wars. They have to have economic strife. They have to have conflict, social conflict, racial conflict, cultural conflict. As long as there's conflict, then the world leaders, they have a reason to exist so they can, pontificate and say, we're going to solve all these problems that they created in the first place. So, I had to rethink my belief systems, and it's not easy, because you have to admit that maybe you were wrong about something. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, ego and pride comes into it. And those are really big stumbling blocks for intellectual growth. So I had to swallow my pride and shun my ego and realize that, hey, I was wrong about this particular issue. And unfortunately, this is a process that many people in the world are going to have to go through. Israel's our greatest ally.
Israel's our greatest ally.
Israel's our greatest ally. Greatest ally. Greatest ally. Greatest ally. We're going to have to rethink that. Why is Israel our greatest ally? What does Israel do for the United States, for us? Aside from give us, a foothold in the Middle East, which we already have. Take a look at the map and see how many military bases are planted all over, not just the Middle East, but all over the world. But the point is, though, is that, we've been brainwashed into thinking that, we have to support Israel and any and everything that they do, no matter how horrible it is. And a perfect example of what's been going on in Palestine for the past almost 2 years now. And I do want to remind you that there is a documentary that you all should see. And it's on Rumble. And I don't have it pulled up here, but I believe it's the attack on October 7th was 100% an inside job. Now, you don't have to believe it, okay? But I would suggest that you go to Rumble and you do a search for that and watch it. And there's also another website called stopworldcontrol.com. And you can go to stopworldcontrol.com/Israel, and there's a documentary there about what happened on October 7th. So I would suggest, you swallow your pride, shun your ego, and watch these documentaries and get yourself educated on some of these subjects, because it ain't what they told you. And the powers that be are relying on the simple fact, number one, you're not paying attention. Number two, if you are paying attention, you got the attention span of a potato. That's unfortunate, but that's the bulk of the population. So people have to start thinking outside of the intellectual cage that's been set up for you by, for years and years by the powers that be. They're counting on the fact that you won't question anything that you hear on CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, Newsmax, OAN, Real America's Voice, News Nation, all the networks that are out there. Yeah, there's a lot of truth that's coming out in some of the newer news networks that are out there, but they're not telling you the whole truth. And every time I hear, Dan Ball or somebody like that on OAN or one of these other networks talking about how we have to defend Israel. Israel's our greatest ally. Why is they our greatest ally? Why? What are they doing aside from dragging us into yet another war? And now we're looking at, we got to go to war with Iran. Okay, and I have to scratch my head and say, wait a second, hey Donald, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's happened to you? And I know that the bulk of the listenership on this network, on the Red State Talk Radio network, I know that most of you are conservative, and God bless you. But we all have to swallow our pride and realize, hey, maybe we've been fed, some horse hockey as well. Maybe there's something else going on behind the scenes, psyops go both ways. It's not just the liberal legacy media that's throwing out subterfuge and propaganda. We're getting fed it the same stuff too, and that's why we have to go through this stuff very carefully and think about what makes sense and what doesn't. And that's why, this dead man switch that I just played from the poor soul that was just murdered, Virginia Giuffre, I can't remember her last name, how to say it, but she was unalived about a month ago. And like I said, there's this video that was released, and it's called a dead man switch that she put out there. I just played it a little while ago, and I said, okay, well, wait a second. Is this real or is it AI? And then all of a sudden I get this data dump this morning with lots of documents having to do exactly with what she was talking about. So that gave a little bit of credibility to this. So anyway, once again, let me see. We got about 6 or 7 minutes left of this broadcast. This is your last chance to call in. Hey, Cynthia, you out there? Hey, Melissa, I don't know if she's out there. 215-867-8255. You can call in now, and I'll get you right on the air. But no, I encourage people to not believe anything that I'm telling you. Don't believe a word I say. Do some research. I try to provide you with the audio receipts. That's why, I'm here WTF with the facts. And yeah, I do speculate occasionally. Okay, I guess they heard me out there. Let's see, who do we have? Is this Melissa, or is this John, or who is this?
No, this is Ray from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got somebody else that called in. Okay, go ahead. We got about 2 minutes. Go ahead. What happened? Hello, you there? Oh, what happened here? What did we lose you? Okay, let me see here. I don't know what happened. I lost that caller. All right, let's see here. Let me see if I can unhold. Let me see. Add call. No, that's not going to do it. Transfer. No. Hold. Unhold. No. Okay. I'll tell you what, caller. Call right back. I don't know what happened. I might have disconnected from you. All right, let's see here. Wireless caller. Okay, unhold. Okay, who do we have there?
Ray Lang from Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Hi, welcome, Columbus, Ohio. What was your name?
Ray. Lang.
Okay, Ray. What do you got? Go for it.
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, you do an outstanding job. Somehow or other, you can bring all of this heavy stuff, but do it in such a way that it seems light and it motivates you to act. And that's what it does for me.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you.
And so I called my 2 senators today and told them verbally with some emotion what I thought about this. And I think that's what everybody should do. Contact your senators and representatives and tell them what you think about taking us to war for Israel, because it's awful. There's one thing that really bothers me is we never can find out who's behind this. Elon Musk said that, he said the obvious, that all the people in universities that were getting tents and professional signs and even food delivered to them, and the rioters on the street giving bricks and even gas masks, for heaven's sake, provided. It's obvious somebody's funding. And Elon said that, these are the soldiers. Who are the generals? Who's the admiral? Who's behind it? And he never came out with it. He never told us. And I feel if Elon can't find out, then God doesn't know who they are,
Yeah. Well, what? We keep hearing about all these crimes that are being committed by our elected officials. For example, Letitia James. She went after Donald Trump and accused him of all this stuff, and he was exonerated. And now it come to find out she's guilty of doing the exact same thing that she accused him of, and she's still walking the streets. I don't get it.
Absolutely. No, well, the big thing that everybody's saying, I was so glad that you mentioned that you played Doug McGregor and I think Wilkinson's tape, because those people know what's going on, and they're on YouTube and say these things. So it's so good that you brought it to your audience.
Well, that's why I come out with the audio receipts. You're referring to yesterday's broadcast. Yeah, I throw that stuff out there all the time.
That's right, and that's a perfect idea. I mean, you got the right design, you got the right message, and it's the right time to hear it. And I hesitate to call in because I want to hear everything you got to say and not interrupt you. But thank you for being there. And I've got my watch on the way.
Oh, God bless you. Okay, well, thank you for your listenership, and please spread the word. Let folks know that there's a voice of insanity out here, because I must be crazy. I must be absolutely bonkers Looney Tunes to be talking about this stuff. But hey, look at a little spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So anyway, well,
yes.
All right. Well, thank
you, Dave.
Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. And, okay, let's see. We got about, let me see. Maybe I could squeeze this audio in. Guess what? You want to hear some hypocrisy. Here's Ilhan Omar. Listen to this.
To be coming out of our country. I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights.
Stop right there. People's constitutional rights. Wait a second. We're talking about illegal immigrants. They don't have those. They're not citizens. Continue.
While our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade, it is really shocking, and it should.
Okay, I got to stop that because we're flat out of time with that. I'll play that tomorrow. I tell you, I can't understand why she's not behind bars. She married her brother so she could get citizenship. Oh my WTF! Ripping what little hair I got left out of my skull. All right, that's going to wrap us up for our Wednesday hump day. Don't you be a chump, and don't you ever crump day. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's edition of the WTF Reports. If you enjoy the broadcast, please support our efforts. Do business with our sponsors, and you might want to contribute to our GoFundMe efforts to turn this into a full-blown podcast. That said, we're all done for today. I'll be back tomorrow, so God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.